Well, good for them. If they go line hard or cutty, that's what we want to take away. And we can absolutely do this. So why do I speak about this in this way? Because if we're going to take away the cutty, we're going to take away the cutty. We're going to take it away every time, all the time. After I started to understand how to play this game in this way, I would go an entire season without letting the cutty drop when I dig angle. Just never, ever, ever let it go. And there are so many reasons why that's important. But let's talk a couple of them real quick. The reason you want to take that cutty away is, number one, you want to take care of your blocking partner. And if your blocker's up there and he's digging line real strong, he or she is digging that line, taking that line away, and he sees that angle cutty, his instantaneous thought, and if anybody's blocked, you know this, that cutty happens, he's thinking, point, we got this. Point, we got this. And if that cutty happens and you're not there, it's kind of discouraging to your partner. And your blocking partner, let's be honest, sometimes it's not a whole lot of fun to be the blocking partner because typically you're bigger, typically you're a better attacker, and typically you're not getting served very often. So very often these blockers are big, tall guys or ladies who have a strong attack who wind up blocking and setting all day. And that's fine. That's the game. That's the way it is. But my goodness, when they do the right thing and they're taking that line away and they're forcing your opponent to hit that cutty, you better get it. Like, not most of the time, not much of the time, not almost all the time. You better get it every single time. And I will tell you this, blockers, if you're out here blocking and you're blocking line and your opponent hits a cutty and it drops, I'm going to suggest that you call timeout. You have a talk with your partner. And you cannot accept that, ever. You can never accept the cutty to drop when you're blocking, when your digging partner has the angle. It's just not acceptable because it's crushing you for the first reason. So why do we take away the cutty? Protect our partner is the number one reason. Because his mind matters and what's going on emotionally matters, and you've got to take care of that. Second reason is it's easy. And what that means is when you pick that up, you're going to get a swing. So it's not just, we're going to get into this, but when you dig a driven ball, most of the time you're not going to get a swing. Or if you do get a swing, it's not a good swing. But when you pick up this cutty, you're already at the net, your partner's at the net, you're going to get a swing out of that. Obviously, that's not always going to result in a point, but most often it is. And number three, this is something that most people don't get, but it's really an important aspect to this. You're messing with your opponents. You're messing big with your opponent. I always hoped as an angle digger that my opponent would hit their best cutty early in the match. I want them, if I'm playing this spot, I'm playing this angle, and he hits this really nice cutty that's tight to the net and wants to drop right there, I mean almost a short hop in the post, and you pick it up, oh my, that attacker is going to look at you another time. He's going to give you a second look. He's going to be like glancing at you like, what? Because this play, if he's got a good cutty, he's very used to this bouncing. Very used to it, regardless of where you're playing. If you're taking that away, oh my, it's like he doesn't know where you are because you're not moving. We already talked about that. And you have just taken the cutty off the table. So that even when you're blocking angle and digging line, he may not know where you are, and he's going to think twice about hitting that sweet cutty that he's been working his whole career on. Because you've just taken it off the table. You've demonstrated that no matter how good he hits it, you're capable of getting it. That's frightening to your opponents, especially if they've got a real good cutty. The better that they hit that cutty, the more important it is that you pick it up. Okay, so back to the original point. Where do we play? Where does this guy play? Where does he play? He plays as far away from the net as he possibly can and still be certain to pick up this ball. So everybody's different. For me, I'm not the quickest, but I'm going to talk to you a little bit about reading the attack. I'm a huge anti-proponent, I guess you could say, of reading. I never read anything. I always let the plan develop and react to what actually happens, not what I think might be happening, with one exception, this cutting. And I do that for a very good reason, because I've already told you, I am never, ever going to let this cutty drop. When I'm on the court, there is zero chance that cutty's going to drop. And if I read cutty, and it doesn't happen, say I'm seeing that cutty develop in front of me, and I'm breaking for it, and he goes over the top or hard or whatever, I don't care. I wouldn't have got it anyway. But I know that I'm going to get that. So it's okay to read the cutty. What's not okay, let's back up, is to start here. Say your digging angle is to start here, jet over, because you're giving your position away, then read cutty and continue to jet. It's too far, too long, too much movement, and you're giving it away. So when I say I'm going to read the cutty once in a while, all I'm saying is I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. And when his arm goes up, if I suspect that it could be cutty, I'm just going to go ahead and take it. Because I won't let that drop. Just won't. Under no circumstance will that drop. All right. So from a tactical perspective, where am I playing? Well, that's where I'm playing. As far away from the net as I'm comfortable, while being completely certain that I can absolutely take every one of those away. I mean, he can hit this cutty that catches the bottom of the tape on my side and rolls under the net back towards his side of the court. I'm still going to get it. I have to have that. I cannot let it drop. No excuse, because I'm going to take care of my blocking partner. I'm going to get that play and run it back at him, and I'm going to mess with his head. Okay. So that's where you play. Now, if you're digging line and blocking angle, it's the same idea. You're playing here as far away from the net as you possibly can and still be able to take care of the short cutty on the line. Same idea. Okay. Next thing, and this is something that I see misplayed every day, is a down ball. It seems pretty simple, because what happens on a down ball, let's again talk about angle, dig, line, block, down ball. So I see essentially two problems happening with the down ball. Number one, the down ball, this blocker is typically back pedal, back pedal, back pedal. Try to get back in here in order to dig this driven ball. Well, that doesn't work. The reason it doesn't work is because there's way too much movement from often a very big athlete who is simply not capable of accelerating or changing direction once that attack occurs. This player has got to come to a complete stop and get set before he or she can play quality defense. So we're not going to ask this player to be moving at the point or moment of contact, of offensive contact, that is. So this is not how we're going to play. Even though everybody does, that's a tremendous mistake. We're going to ask this blocker to take two giant steps. 1, 2, right to there. If they're digging line. If they're blocking line, they're going to dig line. That's as far as they're going to go. 2 steps, bam. And this player then is going to rotate. It's going to start here and you're going to rotate back, somewhere back in here. Well, I've got a big hole right here. Okay, so let's talk about what a down ball actually means. If your blocking partner calls down ball, then what they're saying is two changes have occurred in our tactics. Number one, because we're assuming the set is off the net. The cutty is now off the table. I invite all of you to try to hit a cutty from behind your body, from back here, right? Try to hit a cutty from way back here, very, very difficult. So that cutty can still occur to some extent, but it's not going to be the quality cutty that we're worried about. So we're taking this off the table. So this area right here is no longer of anyone's big concern. And if they happen to hit a cutty, 9 times out of 10, it's going to go high and hit the net and come back on their side. Not always, of course, but that's pretty common. We kind of want them to go ahead and try to hit that cutty. The next possibility is this person's going to swing hard line going to right in here, right? That's kind of the soft spot of the down ball, and that's why this player is trying to hustle back to cover that, because that's what we're worried about. Well, I have 2 comments about that. Number one, too often your blocking partners call a down ball on plays that they should block. Just recognize that if this player is winding up and hitting a hard line shot, you should have blocked. Bad call. And it's okay to make the bad calls sometimes. There's no certainty that you're going to make the play in any case. We're just always talking about odds and statistics. But just know that if this ball is tattooed down the line, this ball gets tattooed down the line, that was going to be a point anyway, and it's okay. So that's the first thing I would say. I think there's too many down ball calls more often than they ought to be. This blocker, when he calls ball, he or she is saying 2 things have changed. Number one, cutty is hard to hit. And number 2, line hard is now off the table. This is not going to happen. So we're going to eliminate these 2 corners of the court, not completely, because they can still be hit, but not very effectively. So what we're going to do is recognize that these 2 sections of the court are now not off the table necessarily, but much harder to effectively use. So what we're going to ask this player to do, our blocker is going to take 2 steps. 1, 2. Turn right there. And what this blocker is now going to do is got all the short stuff. Basically, something like that. This is our blocking partner's now current responsibility. All of this territory. This is the blocking partner's area of responsibility on the down ball. All of that. So what about the angle digger? Angle digger now has what's left. So typically they're going to stay right about where they're at. Again, remember, movement gives your position away. But on a down ball, the attacker is going to be leaning, looking back. So they're really not going to see much. You can afford to move a little bit around here. I still caution you about it, not too much movement, but you have a lot more leeway because they can't see you. Anybody that's hit a down ball knows what I'm talking about. So you're going to guess a little bit. You don't really know. But basically, there's 2 really popular plays that this attacker is going to make. This attacker is often going to go short because they think this blocker has jetted deep, leaving this short wide open. Well, we've already taken that off the table. That's why this guy or girl is going to stay tight and close to the net, pick up all the short stuff. The second thing that this attacker might do is try to go half or 3/4 speed towards this corner, which is why, as the angle digger, you might want to rotate around a little bit. And that's, you're playing a guessing game a little bit. Don't try to read. Just decide, all right, what can I take away? You can't take it all away. You're not going to get them all. But I've found that a good movement to do, if you hear down ball, if you're playing angle and you hear down ball, I'd like to take 1 step, 2 steps. Wind up about there. Take 2 quick steps. And the reason we don't want to take too many is because we still want to readjust our position back towards the middle of the court. We want to be able to take away this line. And we're basically now, at this point, we're in the middle of our responsibility. Two quick steps. We'll have time to do that and still be able to set and get ready into our good ready position. So if you do this, you're going to have a lot more success with down balls. And further, you can play with this as you get to know your teammate better. There's a couple of different ways you can do this. You can actually have this player, instead of coming straight back, because if you do this every time, your opponents may start to pick up on it. Not may. If they're smart, they will. At the open level, they're going to notice it. So what are you going to do to start messing with some tactics, some different tactics? Well, this guy, instead of dropping straight back, can actually drop angle. 2 quick steps. Again, don't try to go back too far. Just 2 quick steps, land here. And actually, it's not a bad idea, if this is the case, is to face this way and take that away. But this is going to make it a little harder, because what happens is on the down ball, he's going to hit this short one. You're going to be there. Then it's going to go deep. He'll be there. Well, he's going to start thinking, oh, I got this angle. Remember, his cutty will not be that good. So you don't have to get all the cutty, but he still, he can put the ball over there pretty easily. And you want to be able to take that away. So if you can step 2 steps towards the angle, that's gonna change this up a little bit. You're gonna probably give this up a little bit, right? You're gonna give up that short line right in here. You'll give this up, but you'll take this away. And that's okay. Start playing with it a little bit. But the big point I'm trying to make on the down ball is this blocker cannot afford to jet. This blocker can't afford to start here and jet way back and try to make a play in here. Not going to happen. You're going to get nothing. It's just too difficult to try to travel that far. And further, this is also why, however, that I'm going to encourage blockers to start training to start their block off the net. As the set happens, either move forward or back, depending on whether it's a down ball. Okay, so that's some of the options that the blocker can do. What can the digger do? Well, it's pretty straightforward. Again, remembering that the attacker probably can't see you because he's looking back to catch this ball. But if he goes short and has that taken away, and then he goes deep and has that taken away, then he's going to think, oh, I got deep angle, maybe deep angle. So you're the angle blocker. You can either cheat a little bit towards here or cheat a little bit back that way. It's pretty obvious. And you can't really, the angle digger really can't mess this up. The biggest change I'm asking you all to make is this blocker. This blocker's got to be stepping back a very small, just 2 quick steps. And the other thing that I'm asking you all to recognize is that on a down ball, that these 2 areas of the court are less critical. They're just not going to be too easy to get to from the attacker's point of view. At least this one's not going to be hard. If this attacker hits line hard, should have blocked. And that's all. That's all there is to it. But more often than not, this attacker is going to hit a top spin deep down here, and that's where this angle digger's got to run over and get it. All right. So there's tactics for the outdoor game. Let's review some of the ideas that we talked about. There's a couple of major points I want to make. Number one, as the digger, you want to stop movement. You're giving your position away by running around the court. So stop doing that. Number two, we want to always take away the cutty. Take away the cutty. That's our primarily responsibility. if we can do that, I can't. I watched the Open and I've seen AAA and Open, and I'm seeing 3 or 4 cutties when they're digging angle. I see 3 or 4 cutties per set, per game, fall, drop. It's mind-boggling to me. If I'm the blocker and my partner allows cutties to drop, I'm serious. As blockers, you got to get a different partner. That's just not working. You are never going to have success, in my opinion, if your defensive partner is letting the cutty drop. Just don't allow that. That's inexcusable. Zero tolerance on that. It's just you have to take that away. So we're going to stop movement. We're going to take away the cutty. And 3, we'll just put down ball because it's not easy to explain the tactical differences that we're talking about. But on down balls, we got to really reform, re-energize the way we're playing the down balls. Because we're seeing about 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5 defensive opportunities are down balls. And we're not having a lot of success with them because we're asking the digger to do too much. Let's relax the options on the digger and try to start taking more of these away. I think that we should be digging 3 out of 4 down balls, and right now we're not even getting half of them, even at the best top level. And there's 2 reasons for that. One is we're down balling too many that shouldn't be down ball. We should be blocking the down balls, and I'm going to encourage more blocking of down balls, and I want to share with the blocker that remember with the down ball they can't see you, right? Their eyes are up trying to catch the ball. So even if even if that play is a little bit in front of you, kind of, they're still having trouble seeing you. So stay up there and block those things, and just be real tight. Just take your line away like you're supposed to. And I think more of these ought to be blocked. But the ones that are actually legitimate down balls, we can do a better job on those too. All right. So here's the takeaways: stop movement, take away the cutty, and change our tactics on down balls. And finally, as I mentioned in the indoor, it's focus again on get the easy ones. Get the easy ones. We're just not doing a good job on. We're just not doing a good job on getting the shots and getting the easy ones. So let me share with you some numbers here, real quick, to emphasize how important it is to get the easy ones. Okay. So in all right. Okay, we're going to wrap it up, I guess, now that I think about it. Thank you very kindly for your time. Here's the takeaway. Get the easy ones. Get the easy ones. Get the easy ones. Get the easy ones. Next Generation Volleyball out.